This is the Energizing India podcast.
Bicycles have been pivotal in revolutionizing transportation, offering efficient and accessible mobility for centuries. From enabling faster commutes to fostering leisurely explorations, bicycles have essentially shaped the modern society. But in this age of electrification, do bicycles still make sense? Today, we have the founders of EMotorad, a very interesting startup based out of Pune, who are trying to make this a reality. Let's hear their story.
So, thank you for having us on Car, and of course, you're doing a great job with Energizing India. And I really hope a lot more people come into this, plus a great setup here. I think our stories, all four of us, are like this tier 2 boys with big dreams who are hoping to do something in life. And I think our stories just happen to meet each other at a certain point. So to kickstart, I think I met our current CEO, Kunal, who's also now my good 10-12-year-old friend. So known him for more than a decade. And we met during our masters. And we used to be these two boys sitting in the last bench of the class, not studying, but and partying all the time. So everyone thought that, we are this recipe for disaster if they... And of course, in masters, you want to get serious, right? And we too weren't. But then, fortunately, we would always discuss business and ideas and this and that. We wanted to set up that Bahar Chai Ka Tapri to possibly do whatever business ideas came to our mind. I think that's when... but we'd also end up doing very fairly well at studies as well. Somehow, I don't know, maybe we were studying with a bunch of people who were not great at that. So we got... I think by the end of our first or second trimester, we started renting out our own two-wheelers to our fellow classmates. And that scaled up to 84 vehicles, and we were doing it for pocket money. We did not have the scale or the vision back in the days, and we were doing it with IC, which was not a legal business, without having a number plate. We were just taking up second-hand vehicles and renting it out. That got acquired by a bigger company, and Kunal joined them as CEO and co-founder. And now that's where Sumedh, Kunal and Rajiv's journey meet up. I happen to be this middle-class boy growing up who wanted to go abroad and settle down, that typical middle-class story of how... And I think that happened with me, so I got a chance to move to Dubai from my placement. I moved out. Now here's where Sumedh, Kunal and Rajiv's journey meet up. Kunal and Rajiv were taking care of operations pan-India for that bigger company. Rajiv got a chance to go to China to explore what's happening in electric if they want to shift from IC. At one point in time, they were doing more than, I think, 80,000 two-wheelers in India in rental space. So back in the days, everything in Amazon, Flipkart, delivery, etc., the two-wheelers that these guys were using were rented out by these guys. So they were doing great business. Rajiv went out to China to explore e-bike business, came back to Kunal because he was reporting to Kunal back in the day and said, hey, I'm resigning. There is something big happening. I think you should come with me and we'll do something there. And Sumedh used to be this guy who would walk into their office and would end up selling them things that they did not need. Yeah. Now Sumedh can tell that. And they realized very quickly that in life, if they have to sell anything, then he is the guy to go to. So first person to join EMotorad was Sumedh, because regardless of everyone's role clarity, we knew if things need to be sold, it is Sumedh who's going to come into picture. So I think that's how four of us met, and we decided. And I was asked to come back from Dubai at one point, and yeah, I think that's how we started.
Oh, that's super. But how did Sumedh, before EMotorad, then you were part of the previous company, but how did you grow up? What's your story?
So basically what happened is, right in the middle of engineering, I realized this is not my cup of tea, basically.
Which engineering did you do?
Mechanical.
Of course.
So I really understood. I was sold in my childhood, it's an evergreen branch. This branch doesn't die. And I could see it dying right in front of my eyes. So I said, well, this is not going to happen. I'm good at mathematics. I'm good at analytical brain, but this is not something I will do it. I decided to quit it in between. I started my own garment startup back then, trying to bring products from Tirupur, trying to sell it out. All of those, they are crazy stories some other day, but that was the time where I realized I'm not going to do engineering for sure as my career. And I understood in the first business itself was managing cash flow, because you're buying on cash, you're selling on credit. You have a huge business, but you don't have cash to order to back to your vendors. How do you manage the cash flow is the first thing. I never heard cash flow as such a problem itself. That was the point of time I decided to do my master's. Formal education of business is required. So I did my master's from Indira. And I was very serious of starting something, but not having that idea. You don't want to be an forced entrepreneur of anything. So that was the time I chose an field of IoT, which was telematics devices, and I got an opportunity to work with that company called Autocop, and that's where I and Kunal met. So I was finding it really tough to sell an IoT device in the country in 2016, 2015 and something. Then I started understanding who does need tracking. Probably tracking is something which is required by the people who are really cautious on their assets. That's where I got to know Zoom Car. That was the time I got to know this Just Ride. Back then it was Just Ride, now Drivezy, but that are not doing well. But yeah, these were the rental startup I started approaching. So I started approaching Royal Enfield, the Royal Brothers. Then I started approaching Now Bounce, back then Wicked Ride, and On Bikes. All of those people I started approaching, and all of those people were young founders here. And you never know, founding a startup, raising a money, all of those things I never learned in my MBA as well, to be honest. A traditional education, what I had to. So that was the exactly time when I got to know Kunal. And obviously a baniya guy, hard to crack, doesn't want to buy anything. I said, if I have to crack this guy, then I'll have to give him a reason to buy. Then I approached him with a very different orientation. He said, my vehicle doesn't get stolen, man. I don't need tracking of 6K. Get lost. I don't need it. He says, he was to a calculative brain. He said, I paid an insurance of, let's say, 8 lakh rupee. My claim was 60K. I'm not going to take insurance next year. What are you trying to tell me, a selling device for a tracking unit? Then I said, yeah, how do we solve this? I approached him back. I said, you can make money through this. He was very interested. He said, how? I said, you see, I have seen all of your people riding this to Nandi Hill in Bangalore, riding this to Kurg, and damn, everybody's overspeeding. I said, yes, everybody's overspeeding. I said, you can track speed and bloody chalan them for 500 rupee per instance. Then he really calculated, boss, I can make money through it. And all of a sudden there is a deal. So that's how the deal happened. And I got a friend. Like, friendship was something which was carried forward after the business also. That's how I met Kunal and Rajiv back then. When Rajiv came back, obviously I was working with a company called Minda. I was with Tier 1. I was doing well, working with Bajaj, working with Ether, working with Okinawa. All of those people were also in dire need of localization of IoT. And putting up IoT in an EV is a tricky thing. You don't want so many control units in a vehicle. Already you have VCU. Already you have motor control unit, already you have a cluster. So you don't want to put a lot of controllers in place. So where will you find a space for one more IoT? Then we were trying to integrate a drivetrain either in a cluster or in a VCU. So those engineering developments were going on. I was pretty much enjoying it. But that was the time when Rajiv said, boss, there's something else, electric cycle. And I said, what electric cycle? What is this, man?
Yeah, exactly. So typically, I mean, if you've seen since 2013, since the time I think Ether, initially started their R&D, even then, even in 2010, you had something called as Yo Bikes, which used to run on lead acid batteries. So typically, startups have happened in scooters, right? And that is because that is like a mass market product. Even lesser you would have in motorcycles, which is like even lesser part of the market. So typically, all these EV startups are there in scooters. So how did you guys come about going about cycles, electric cycles that day? Yeah.
So basically, if you see the market back then when we wanted to start EV, so obviously
which year was this?
2020.
July so we started in 2020, but if you take our discussions.
A year back before COVID. Before pre-COVID was the time where we were actually evaluating and contemplating on this particular idea. So if you want to get into a mobility business, that was very sure, because for 6 years I was working in mobility space, providing the tech to these startups. And these guys, Kunal and Rajiv, were too hardcore solving a micro mobility problem. And that particular point of time, Bird and Lime were at that peak. After COVID is where the collapse started happening, where personalized mobility was not working out in a rental space.
Across the globe.
Yeah. So that collapse started happening much later. But back then, I guess Kunal was very clear, boss, A2B mobility is not going to work in the country, and he decided to not to take fund from the global VCs here. That was a bold move that those people selected. I said, not raising money is fine, but denying money is a very different aspect. He said, it's not going to work. I don't want to bet my life onto it, which is not going to work. I said, very nice. That was a bold move when he decided to quit on. So that was a really bold move, and we understood, boss, if you have to provide a micro mobility or mobility, does this space require some kind of a shuffle, or this space requires some kind of an innovation? The answer was yes. The classic example what I used to give, being coming from a Minda Tier 1 background, was for last 70 years the lock set has not changed. It's the same key, it's the same lock set, it's the same stepper motor cluster, and nothing has changed, but the prices have rock climbed. Working on double-digit EBITDA is not a joke. So why this industry has been deprived of the right feature, the right set of mobility product what this country needs? So that was not being offered. So when you get into the space of electric two-wheeler mobility, we could see it into three clear categories. There were cheap importers, importing from Alibaba, and you are OEM today. Tomorrow you are OEM, literally. the second thing what I found out was like these are all glorified importers. Even big names, I would not like to name those, but those people were also doing some kind of import work only. Real development was not happening. And then there was third category. Those people were very serious. Like Chetak was doing 2018. My first project with EV mobility was Chetak back then, working on their cluster and working on their ECL locks and stuff. So these people were really serious in doing business, and those people were not launching the product, by the way. They started the business for 3 years, 4 years, but the products were not coming out. Where other people had ramped up because there's just an import, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So overcrowded space. And do anyone require, let's say, a 12-inch Android tablet on a vehicle? The answer is probably no. Then why do you want to forcefully give it just to glorify that particular product? That move back then was okay to change the perception of an EV, but definitely that move we could not see as a sustainable move. So you want to enter into two-wheeler mobility space? The answer is yes. The second is, do you really want to limit yourself to India? What rest all the legacy automobile player have done it? The answer is no. See, where do we export? If you have the export data, we are exporting to third world countries today. Back then, Freedom tried to do it, LML tried to do it in some part of Italy, but there's nothing else moved in with respect to exports. So we always have been satisfied with the domestic consumption, which should not be the situation. So the vision was the global, then the product was the need, and that's how e-cycle was a perfect feat.
And if I take you to the drawing board, right? Like right now, you can put a lot of sense into it, but that day, 4 of us discussing was very different, right? Like from the perception perspective, it was like, okay guys, what is happening in India? And we were all somehow related to, since our college days, related to commute, right? So we'd always discuss it. So it came out here, how will EV, we knew EV is coming big time, how is it going to penetrate India, right? So let's see, and of course now you see some charging points, but back in the day, although we it was going to take so long to come into tier 1. And then imagine tier 2, tier 3, and India is beyond tier 3, and it's massive there.
Imagine what happened to CNG, even though it is not penetrated today. So that's evident.
It came in the right time. So we had these two major problems, right? One was, okay, infra is going to be a problem. How do we solve for it? Can we give something that can be, let's say, as easy charging as your mobile phone? Because that solves purpose. And then we said, okay, service is going to be even bigger. Nobody is going to speak about it for the longest time. And you see, till now, service is something that is still spoken in the meeting rooms, right? Like people don't speak. So I think these two things is what we took. And we went to research board and we said, okay, what works for this? Rajiv already had experience with electric cycles. He came out and said, this is a great product. And let me give you a stat, right? Back in the day, we could see projections of 2020 to 2023, which turned out to be more over 80-85% true. The projection said in the next 3 years, electric cars, motorcycles, and scooters combined are going to sell 25 million units across the globe. And most of the upcoming players are going to sell it on a negative EBITDA. At the same point in time, 135 million units of electric cycles will be sold across the globe. Now that was a clicking point. Who's making electric cycles in the world? And it was a neighboring country, 96% dominance in the market. And we said, okay, wow, this is something we can do. But we knew sitting there, because of course, the Kunal, Rajiv already had the fundraise experience. Nobody is going to put a penny on you. We're going to go to analysts of the VC world and they're going to be like, hey, I've never seen this product. This won't work in India. Why would somebody put battery on a cycle, etc., etc. So that's a bet we were about to take. We knew the problems we're going to face. But if this bet works, it's going to be, okay, India coming on the world map to produce something. And I think that's how the vision looked back then.
But then before we go to exports, I want to understand what level of tech essentially goes into your cycles. From a very third man's perspective, I mean, essentially you would have, let's say, a motor, you would have a battery pack, and you would have some sort of acceleration. But what R&D has gone into this particular cycle? And what has been done in-house, and what is the components that you still sort of it's a bought-in item essentially for you?
So like most of the EVs, motor is now getting localized in the country, but prior to it you had an dependence outside to bought out. But overall, if you see the key success where the competition couldn't do the product at the cost what we are offering, the critical credit goes to in-house tech. So what happens is you are operating on multiple models. So like Adi said, export is very essential backbone of the business. And when you add that complexity to the table, for example, Europe operating models, USA's operating models, Australia's operating models, and Japan operating models are very different. Operating models in the sense, SKU, what it gets sold in the different parts of the world. basis the terrain, basis the regulations of that particular country, is very different. So you cannot rely on bought out component from day one. So I believe kudos to the small and lean team what we had. Initially the vendor development was the critical thing because we couldn't afford in-house team. That was the start of the journey, but almost a year back we had established our own team. That's where the critical expansion of the factory what we discussed about is kicking in when my product in-house are ready. So today when we speak, our entire drivetrain or powertrain is in-house, and when it is the contract manufacturing which is sitting outside different vendors in the country, outside the country, that also will get completely shifted to our own facility which we are building in Pune. So we will be manufacturing display, we will be manufacturing motor, we will be manufacturing the battery packs, and we will be manufacturing the battery chargers. So these critical components 4 we will do. Motor controller, even though the design sits in-house, the SMT and the mounting for the board will happen at the partner facility. But all the powertrain, what you see on an e-bike, is completely made by us. That is the critical win what we have had in a short time.
And I think in coming months, sorry to reveal it because Sumedh wants to do a big launch around it. But I think what we are and it is almost ready. Testing is also completed. It's now just about so the first set of what we call a true smart bike is what we're introducing to the world. I mean that of course I can't speak a lot in details, but the idea was see, hardware is something in terms of mechanical, the supply chain existed in India. In terms of electronics is something that we have sorted out. Now we are producing it in-house in our in-house capacity. So those two things happen, and then beyond that you go and say, hey, I'm going to put up a layer of software, etc. But then a layer of use cases, a layer of community, a layer of... So there is so much that is coming out, and I think we really believe that this is going to be something that it will be very hard to replicate. Although a lot of competition is finding it hard to replicate the drivetrain itself, but I think that is going to be a layer which is going to change the dynamics of how future looks
so
like.
That will change the user experience, not just wherever we are operating in B2C model, but a lot of B2B clients across globe. That smart drivetrain will change the dynamics.
You said that it's hard to replicate, and if you take in the EV space, especially with some of the bigger players that we have, we've clearly seen that, you know, with the amount of capital, if you can just employ capital and get things done in this particular space at that time, you know, you can just maybe poach some of the best designers or some of the best engineers. What makes like your tech essentially stand out in the market, and why is it difficult to sort of for anybody to copy?
I think it's going to be, the answer is going to be one word, it's going to be focus, right? And I'm not trying to talk about all the scooter manufacturers because a few of them really had hardcore focus on developing this. In this market, the competition is coming from normal bicycle seller. So their mindset is around a normal bicycle because their bread and butter and 90% of their share of business is basically a normal bicycle. And they say, okay, battery and etc. if we can put wheels. No, but it goes beyond that. Service here is a big aspect, right? So after sales is something that is at the core of what you sell to the consumer. I think also from the angle of innovation and tech, usually your innovation and tech happens majorly on product that's doing very well for you. Whereas if you'll see in Western world, they develop and put money on innovation and product like today probably Meta is doing with all the metaverse, right? So I think they do it for the product that's going to be a cash cow for you tomorrow, not today. And I think that's where a lot of problem lies for the bigger companies. And I think that's where if the focus is bought in, I don't believe anybody can't do anything, right? Everything. I think there is of course a lot of hard work that this team has put in and have come out with great product. But I think
adding to the focus, see, you can have a gestation time. For example, you build a moat. That moat cannot be forever in any business.
Yep.
That's the hardcore truth. You can just get the gestation time because competition is going to come back in 6 months or 3 months or 4 months. What you took 1 year to build, probably they are going to build in 6 months.
Yep.
Because the talent is available, supply chain is available. But I believe by adding these small layers of moat every time in last 3.5 years, the value you build as a brand, that becomes irreplaceable. So I believe that is the real mode what a brand goes through in the journey. And when it comes to tech, yeah, people have built the smart car, smart cycle is not going to be that hard, right? But it is. it also requires the energy. It also requires the enough testing. It also requires the validation cycle it has to go through. And it requires that insight of a consumer. For example, I ask you to build a GPS, I ask you to build a BLE tech, and if I ask you to put Wi-Fi module onto it, a engineering third year student in IIT can do this. But what a great established organization with bought out money and bought out talent do not have is insight what you need to build. The hardcore element of technology do not change, but offerings change a lot. People have made the fan smarter and built almost 1,000 crore company. So what it was difficult for the competition to do it or to do so. I believe it's never the tech which is hard problem to solve. As Adi said, it is one focus. Number two, what to build. That clarity it is required. So I believe being on the ground, all of our founding team, the right teams, taking the right consumer insights, building exactly the solution what consumer will is going to experience or will say, boss, this has changed my experience. That insight I believe we have, which probably other people do not have it.
That's interesting. So let's address the elephant in the room then. You since the inception of the company, the main focus, as you said, was exports. And there have been many companies, which were started in India, which had, and if you see traditionally, Indian companies are built for India because everybody sees India is such a big market that you don't need to go outside, right? Yeah. All the bigger outside companies are coming to India, trying to make it big over here, but here you are, one of the fewer companies who are actually making like a global company based out of Pune, that too. How was that sort of journey like? What was the challenge that you faced when you first started going out?
I think there were a few, right? Like I'll tell you mid-space challenges when we started seeing this big opportunity and started going to VCs and asking them, hey, we are doing this. The first thing that any VC would ask you is focus on one market, eat it up, and then expand slowly and then keep growing that way, right? If we would do that, we'd never be successful, right? So I think for our model, we wanted somebody who believed in our vision. I think another big challenge that we would have come if we wouldn't have taken this approach was our product quality wouldn't have been to the standards that it was. I think we would have tried making a cheaper product instead of a value-driven product. And I think that is where all the differences have come into industry. And I'm very sure Sumedh can give you 20 examples of why, we got into thought process of possibly doing things other way around. But I think for us, fortunately, there was an opportunity sitting on the table and then an opportunity to create. And it's going to be like that for a very long time. I think we have rapidly increased our market share and expanded the market in India, and we're going to keep doing it for years to come. But I think there is also a bigger opportunity which none of our current competition is playing on, and I think the competition there is abroad, the competition there is even tougher. So I think when you lock horns with that level of organizations, I think this is a smaller baby to crack for us. Here the idea is to then get market awareness and expanding market, etc.
So when you go to exports, the first thing is going to be you will be looked down upon. That is for sure, and even today that exists. Probably the factory, few months of operations of the factory will change perception for few, but larger perception of the world will not change because India will be looked down upon. Because manufacturing industry, probably pharma could have taken 3 decades to take the standard or to the shape what it is. And likewise, there are multiple industries who have not delivered, or if they have delivered, they have taken a long time to deliver to the global standards. And pharma is one of the best industry we can see, which has done good in exports. Service-based industry, there's no doubt. You have a talent in the country and your per dollar rate is very cheap. So that has worked. But when it comes to building the product, service is different. Building the product, it's a different ball game. It's very tough, and it was tough for us also. It is not going to be an easy journey, or it was never an easy journey for us. So the approach we took is a building block approach. You build a block at a time. You took one product, you mastered the product, you took the certifications, you started with small orders, you delighted them on the quality, you delighted them on the after sales service failure part report, and then your orders slowly started becoming big. And here the kudos to Rajiv. When he was 3 years in China, he made relationship with few people and he became exclusive suppliers just because he had that excellent relationship maintenance skill, and at the same time building the product skill we built in the country for supplying the products. That worked very well, and few of the companies became very large with respect to their valuation in their respective countries. So that also helped in our favor because they were scaling, we were also automatically getting scaled. But that will not build your brand, right? That will bring the difference brand. So that's a B2B space what we do. We do a contract manufacturing on our products, not someone else's product. So that something was getting scaled at the same time. And I believe that also has happened. The fundamental reason to it was 4 founder equation. In how many startup you see 4 founders? You maximum see 1 or 2 or maximum 3 people. So we had 4 brains on the table, and we all 4 had complementing skill to each other. That has really worked well, so we can focus multiple business areas. As we speak, we handle 5 different business lines, which is very tough. And probably whenever for 1.5 year, our international business was generating money, which we were investing in the country. But when it comes to scale, it demands capital. That is the point where you decide to take money from the market. That's what Adi was talking about. But we did not give up on our business idea just because one way or other way these guys wanted to us to scale in different way. We parted ways for reason was it's not going to work. We understand our business. We would like to build it this way. So I believe building the 5 business line itself is very crazy. You want to build factory, you want to build tech, you want to build international B2C, you want to build domestic B2C, you want to build international B2B. These 5 business different lines are very tough to operate. And we have been operating it for past 3.5 years. So that was also a very critical way of achieving a success in international markets.
Yeah. But then what are the unique challenges that you have faced? Like, let's say you're going to a European country, right, where cycles are much more, there's infrastructure for these cycles. India, you would have temperature, you have infrastructure problem. All of these are first level problems that you might have to face. But then in a European country, that's something that's already there and everybody knows the health benefits of cycles and everything. So how do these guys perceive you as an Indian company coming about and selling electric cycles over there?
There are so many Indian mentality has been that you would have bought in so many brands which looked international to us, but they were Indian, right? And for us, it's the other way around ball game, right? We are going to Europe and not saying, hey, we are Indian. We're not going upfront. We are super proud of being Indian, and we would love in B2B space everyone knowing. But see, our brand name also resonates with a German name, right? So we don't go out and propagate because Europeans have a very big, and I think Japanese too, very big brand loyal to their native brands, right? So I think for us, we are keeping our mouth shut there. We are saying, hey, if you want to buy it, buy it. But I think
you cannot sell an international brand to Japanese.
It's very hard for them.
It's very tough. And so, same is with with Europe.
I think it's most of the automotives, right? If I'm a German fan, I'll buy German cars.
Yeah.
If I'm like a Japanese
but it
fan,
goes beyond, right? Like a Japanese person has a very different mentality compared to, like in India, I can become a German automobile fan, and you could be possibly a US automobile fan, and we can always have that, I only buy this brand.
No, but Japan is very tough. Same as with Europe. It's very tough. So a lot of pennies we burnt. We went there. Understanding was my take is the best. He said, boss, that's the door.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
But I think challenges were way beyond, right? Like the first challenge was getting the certification. How do you certify the product to first enter the market? I think when we were going to the vendors and saying, hey, we will need these parts, but to these standards, they were like, hey, the biggest company in the India is appreciating my product. You're coming and telling me I need to level up. What are you talking about? So I think there, and then when we even got into the journey of possibly raising funds, they're like, hey, your bigger companies couldn't export to those markets. You're talking about it. What are you talking? So I think everywhere, just because you were coming out and saying, hey, I'm going to do it, everyone was comparing and saying, hey, they couldn't do it. Why would you be able to do it? And I think that is where the moat also lies.
I believe it is like a trust game. You have to start first. You have to start trusting them first. You have to trust your relationship, what you have built with them. And slowly it will take the shape. And I believe this B2B space specifically, where we are very largest in the country and probably largest in Indian automobile space. Yeah, Southeast Asia. We are the largest in export space. I believe it didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, and when the trust got developed, that particular point of time, then slowly one product line got added, then another product line got added, then another. So ultimately, it is not the situation that they hate something else. I believe the notion here is they love their own people more. It's not about a hatred content what they have there inside heart, unless you are a Chinese. So Chinese ko to the geopolitical situation has really worsened off for them. But I believe they are nice people, be it Japanese, be it Australian, be it European, where we are operating as a brand. So all of those countries were tough to crack at the first place, but I believe the moment we understood the way they operate, not just the way they operate. If Rajiv would have been here, he would have told you 10 different stories because he's on the always.
On the move.
He's always on the move. So basically, that guy catches around 120 flights a year. So every third day is in a different country. So a crazy guy. So if you would have talked to Rajiv, then he would have told you the relationship he has maintained. When he goes to China, he is Chinese. When he goes to Europe, he is European. When he goes to Japan, he is a Japanese. Right from wearing the clothes what they like, right from wearing the brand of the clothes what they like. You'll go mad. For example, if you see Rajiv here, probably is Armani Louis Vuitton. Probably if you go in Japan, he's not at all. He is Japanese there. So right from dressing up, right from talking, right from matching what food they like, I said it's not possible. It would not been possible for any four of us. That guy has done it.
And I think a big reason for us to scale on India B2C was Rajiv goes to a meeting and he gets asked this question: are you number one in India? And he couldn't answer that. And then this guy repeated, he's like, if you're not number one in your country, how do you come and support and he was pitching to one of the biggest manufacturer of Poland, right? So he's like, you are going to supply to, and he comes back and he's like, boss, I want to be number one in India. How do we do that? I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah, we are holding more than 70% business share
Today. Yeah, fortunate, touch wood. I hope the market grows and
market grows.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's an interesting story also. Na? That's the benefit of having four founders who are like, everybody has their own sort of skills, and you have complementing each other over here. But then traditionally, all the people guests that we speak to on the pod, everybody is either out of Bangalore, Chennai, some of these other fancy places. When you I'm trying it very, like, it's a difficult pill for me to swallow. How do you guys sort of decide to do the startup in Pune?
Why would you make such a bad choice?
So Pune, as I spoke earlier. So basically Pune, if you want, there's no love for Pune, there's no love for any other city. You have to be in India, that's the first bottom line. But you need to be near to the port. That one thing you need to be very clear, because we wanted to win on all the verticals what we spoke about. So Nhava Sheva is the export port which we are near about. But when we started here in Pune, then it was very tough, to be honest, bringing people. And if you would have seen our first office, it's all deep inside the village. Probably after coming inside the village of that, once you leave that Mumbai-Pune expressway and you get inside, for 600 meter odd, there was no road to walk in.
The first bus stop that came in right outside a factory, and it's called Stop, and it was such a big win for us. We're like, wow,
something is coming up here. Very tough. And Pune has a very harsh weather, rains, and when it rains, particularly in that particular zone, the muddy area and kind of a stuff, your car you will not get in, it will get stuck. The very bad situation when we were there.
Yeah, it improved a lot recently.
Recently, yes. Yeah. So, but when we started, it was very tough to bring people, and that's where we started talking to people in the industry, specifically cycle, because we wanted a lot of, 70% it's a cycle loan. By value, it is 60%, 40%, but by component wise, 80-85% is a mechanical bicycle. You need to use the same supply chain.
And people will tell you, go Ludhiana, boss, set your factory plant up there. But I think also because all four of us, Sumedh, had a Pune connection. Like Pune when you look back, yeah. I think you've studied here, me, Kunal have studied here, Rajiv was staying, he had a place here. Yeah. So I think we were in different places, but I think, yeah.
But so initially, I'll tell you, when we were trying to recruit people, it became very tough. And all the people used to walk into the office. First of all, half the way they'll come and they say, boss, I'm not going to travel further. It's way deep interior. The people who could turn up inside, used to say, boss, what are you guys young kids doing? Probably quit this job and quit this business and do some job. Because electric cycle won't work in the country. In the country, operating price point is 6K, 8K. You're operating at 40. Back then, we used to operate at 49. 50K we used to operate. So that was the time we decided, boss, we are not going to take anyone from the bicycle industry. And I still remember 80th employee of us was the one from the cycle
train. First one, yeah. And I think if, let's say a lot of interviews you will take, Omkar, and you'll go like, hey, why do you want to work for us? And like, hey, XYZ reasons, I really want to work for you. And if you stay in such places and if somebody tells you they want to work for you, they really want to work for you. Nobody is making it coming that far.
And I believe employee culture is something what Adi and Kunal have always been very vocal about it. They're all LinkedIn post talks about it. Just not the post, but they walk the talk. Yeah. So employee culture and stuff, I believe that is what made people, the one who came in, not to go out.
But I think also Pune, if you'll see here, it has been such a hub for automobile manufacturers, right? Yeah. I think for us, so many times, now I'm looking at benefits, right? So many times the partners who are visiting us, they're actually visiting multiple of other companies too, and they just happen to figure out, oh, e-bike is a segment we're looking forward to, we might drop by. So I think there are benefits that came out. I think all the challenges aside of not finding the right talent.
We really built a good company there and the kind of a vibrant space. I'll tell you, we were operating at, let's say, X price per employee for the sitting. We went 3X. We have taken the highest floor possible in an Baner area.
Co-working, yeah.
In a co-working, it's all glass, and you get all class there. And if you come and ask people, are you enjoying it? They say, boss, no, let's go back to your office.
I was so surprised. I'll be very honest. I went and I asked them, are you happy? Because in between we shifted to a short-term co-working, which wasn't that good. So I could see they're not happy. And then when we moved into this bigger, super co-working space, because they took time to hand over to us. And I asked them, now you're happy? And they're like, no, our older
office was way better.
I was like, how come? Right, but I think the new office that's coming up. One thing about our office was that everything in there was firstly put up by the employees. I would say
right from the paint, right from
we
the
painted
portraits,
the walls.
Everything.
I think everything in there was earned, right? Like we had so if you come, the first thing people notice was this big pool table, TT table, etc. Everything has been
earned. So you know what happened is, first of all, we used to operate in just a shed. There was no office. And first time that ceiling
office,
came, you know, that 1 by 1 foot ceiling, that ceiling came when we did some turnover. And then what we realized is people are trying to come here, visit us. It is not good just an assembly line standing there, people working. So Kunal said, boss, first Diwali, that Diwali 2020, let's build some, exhibition kind of a space.
This is your budget.
This is your budget. So that half of the budget, Adi built that particular area, and carpet didn't come. He said, no money for the carpet, earn the carpet. You do this XYZ business matrix, you put the carpet. Yeah. We scaled it, and then what we understood is, this now 4,000 square feet is not enough. We'll have to take a bigger space. We took a 8,000 square feet in the same premises. Okay, and it is a literally tin shed. The office was a tin shed. And that office became 8,000 square feet, and Adi came with an idea, boss, I'll put the toughen glasses and stuff. It should be really class. Kunal says, no toughen glasses coming in, put gypsum partition. He says, he brings out one jugaad, he says, 3 gypsum partition, 1 glass. So all the cabins had the glass doors, but all the separation was the gypsum boards. Wonderful. And he came, was paint, he said, no budget. Then he bought all the people, made work on Saturdays and Sundays, and we painted. All the portraits and stuff.
Building exercise, nonetheless.
We did that, and we said, very good, the chairs have come, and no budget for the good carpentry work and stuff. Then one of the employees said, without table, how will we operate? I'll ask my dad to build something. That guy bought his dad. He built these tables kind of a stuff. Then there's a disturbance, right? You and me talking here right now. Then we started building them the cardboards and keep a separator kind of a stuff. This jugaad office we made, but the office was very good. All toughen glasses and stuff.
Looked well.
Looked very well. What is missing? Carpet. Then on the Diwali we achieved the target. Then he says, let's put the carpet. So
I remember the same thing happened. So Sumedh's team and my team would always they would strategize the kids in between, and like I said, it's a 25-year average age, right? So they would always strategize and say, hey, we want this, how do we put it up? So they'll always take it to the nicest people they know and be like, I think we should have this. So 2020 I think it was, we were told that if you want a pool table, which was a big time request coming in.
We used to fight, by the way, all the time.
Yeah. We were doing a 30 lakh revenue month on month kind of a thing. And Kunal sets up a target saying, okay, you do 1 CR in revenue in Indian market, and we'll get it for you. And the team is like, how do you expect us to scale 3x, 4x? Yeah? Like, give us
realistic targets and stuff.
I think in that Diwali, the team pushed like crazy.
And you got a recreational area.
Rupees they did.
And out of stock. We went out of stock. We were touched once.
I think ours was the only team that scaled like 2.5x or something, and they were still sad about it because they missed that 1 CR mark. But then we got it. We're like, hey, forget it. Now you need it. You deserve it.
That's awesome. That looks like a team that has very extreme ownership. With not just the product but the office itself.
Yeah, very true. So everything is done. That's what Adi was saying.
Yeah. That's nice. So what's next now for EMotorad? Like, what are your big plans?
Our first factory is coming up, all nervous. So we are building a facility in 140,000 square feet now. So that is the first.
It'll be electric cycles biggest giga factory for South Asia. So that's what we're coming.
That is the kind of we are building. Very nervous. We are putting the capex, which is like $3 million of capex we are putting in. And first of its capacity, where you will get to manufacture the battery, the charger, the display, the motor. People have not touched it so far, and we have understood very well this industry cannot work on outsourcing and contract manufacturing. This industry is in very nascent stage. If somebody has to take ownership of your own baby, it has to be you. It cannot be a vendor, or
you cannot ask somebody else to raise your child.
So we took a very hard call to get hardcore into the manufacturing stuff. So that is coming up. We are working on 2 secret projects. One of the project Adi revealed. The other is much bigger, has a potential of scaling to $1 billion in the country in revenue. We don't talk valuation any day in the company, we only talk revenue. So that project is July is something where we are expecting the first proto to be out. So these are the two things which are
and
doing.
I think again, all the things that we're doing it for the world, not just India, from India to the world, and we definitely see a fitment for India coming through in meantime. So.
Correct. So building India is very tough job in this particular market, and we want to scale it to more than 140 crore coming financial year.
But that's what makes it interesting too, right? Because if you do crazy enough and difficult enough things, not many people will attempt it. So
yeah, true. But what would be your advice for a startup who's planning on, scaling in terms of exports? Like what are the things that they should look
See,
out
it
for?
really depends on what sort of product you are into, what sort
It's
of
a two-wheeler.
firstly, are you
Two-wheeler.
into product?
Yeah.
Because service yeah.
If you're talking about two-wheeler exports, you're saying, see, first of all, you need to go out, bring the best products which are working in that particular country, understand and benchmark your particular product, because Indian operating standards and international operating standards
Massive
are
difference.
very different.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one simple reason. For example, if this AC which is working right now has a problem, what you do in here? You try to call the nearest call center service, and probably in less than 24 hours, probably same day, a guy will come and do it. It is unimaginable cost in international world.
Yeah.
Unimaginable cost. So what they do, they prevent than fix. So the cost of product they want at a price point is insanely different. So that to operate is a very tough job. And let's be honest, that kind of supply chain do not exist in the country. You have to build it. You have to build it yourself, and you cannot expect someone else to do it for you. So product is the first thing. And I believe the relationship with where you want to do it. These two things do not happen overnight. You have to go, you have to attend the exhibition, and you have to be persistent. And I'll tell you, these exhibitions are not cheap. One exhibition will cost you not less than 1 crore rupee, and plus travel. It's not cheap. So if you're really serious about your business and you just want to flaunt, then this is your kitty. A lot of time what happens is people just glorify the exporters in the country. Correct? And to get that glory, people want to export. So the fundamental itself is weak. So if you're really committed to the business and why you want to export is very clear, then only get in, because it's extremely expensive. Chances of failures are highest. Chances of success are very less. But if you crack it, you will nail it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'm not trying to terrify them that not to do it. I'm encouraging them, but you need to have your whys very clear. Why you want to do this? Why this country? Why not that country? And your learning should precede investments. If you want to invest and learn, boss, you will probably exhaust your money. Your learning should precede investment.
And I think also, let's break it down, right? Like, firstly, the mentality change, and of course, you'll need certification and all those categories there. But let's say, let's step into the shoe of somebody who's going to buy from you, right? Firstly, you can't make the cheapest product. Somebody else has much more strength with supply chain, with the kind of manufacturing, etc. So they'll make a cheaper product. So in this country, making a cheaper product than them is difficult. Let's not go there. Value. They have more value product than you possibly can. So I think, like Sumedh said, benchmarking it and making it at the right price is the first strategy you can adopt to. Thirdly, you can go out and say, okay, somebody coming to me, they would definitely want to have a visit and look at your facility. They would like to know that, okay, you have the prowess to support their growth. You have all the. So I think most two-wheeler, especially in the startup world, two-wheeler manufacturers do not have the kind of setup that international market will need. So I think that's going to make it difficult. But then again, going out and supplying it to another brand, their challenges would be in terms of after sales, in terms of how possibly their market demand grows. If a problem comes in, how do you resolve it? What kind of technology you providing to them that can be scaled? So I think in those aspects, if you have something which is key, possibly can help them look into you and say, okay, I'm going to work with you.
All right. So that's coming in from folks who have really cracked the export market, I guess. So thank you so much, Sumedh and Aditya, for coming on. It was really lovely talking to you guys. I hope you had a great time on the Energizing India podcast.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for having us.
I hope people find some useful insights from this.
Yeah. I hope our competitors don't see this podcast. We ended up revealing too much.
We'll get it PR approved. Don't worry. All right. Super.